At some point, all of us struggle with motivation to paint all of these tiny figures that we have, that we love so much, that we play with all the time. And there's a lot of guilt there. There's a lot of sense of like expectation and obligation there, which sucks because the whole thing is a hobby. It should be a bright point in your life, not something that you just feel obligated to do, something that you feel like a pressure to do. There's terms that we all throw around, like pile of shame is very common, which is too bad because it's a bucket full of toys and you should feel great about it, not sad about it. But regardless, we all have projects we want to work on, like things we want to get done. We want to have cool painted models. We want to be able to look at them and say, hey, that's a guy I did. Look how great he looks. I did that. But how do we find that motivation? These last few months, I have benefited from a well of inspiration. I started my Word Bearers project for Horus Heresy, and I am absolutely loving it. And I'm spending every free minute painting, which is really cool. I'm having a lot of fun with it. I'm getting a lot of people asking me, though, like, how do you paint so fast? There's a couple of things that go along with that aren't super relevant to this video, but I'll touch on them in a minute. But primarily, I'm just painting a lot. I'm spending a lot of my free time sitting down and painting things that I like, and I'm having a really fun time doing it. Which, again, a lot of people struggle to find that motivation to actually paint. Some people also just don't like painting, which is fine, but don't like feel pressure to paint if you don't enjoy it. But if you do enjoy it, or at the very least, if you really enjoy the results of it, and you want to find a way to motivate yourself and get yourself through that like wall that's preventing you from painting, I have a few tips that hopefully might help you. Tip 1 is to not let painting be a chore. Painting is something fun. The hobby aspect of this hobby is really fun. It's a thing we should want to do, not that we should feel like we have to do. If you think of painting as a chore or a task or some like necessary work that you don't want to do but that you feel like you should, then it's not going to be fun. You're not going to enjoy it. It's going to be so much harder to actually like motivate yourself to do it. Especially, we all have really busy lives. We've got work, we've got family, we've got friends, we've got other hobbies. Let's not pretend that none of us play video games or work out or go hiking or climbing or board games. Hell, there's so many other things that can fill our time that isn't this hobby. So when you spend all of your time working at a job that consumes a lot of energy, socializing and engaging in your other hobbies, thinking of painting a miniature as a task you must get done, not that you can, but that you must get done, that just turns it into a chore. And it means you're not going to want to do it. Instead, try recontextualizing painting as something that you get to do, something that you are fortunate to engage in, that is not a responsibility. You're not obligated to do it. It's a thing you want to do. You like it, and you like the results of it, and you're really excited about it. To that end, step number 2, find a project that you like, something that you enjoy painting, or that you really enjoy the scheme of, or that you are really excited about. I have a drawer full of the Cursed City stuff. I bought the Cursed City stuff a couple years ago when it first came out because I thought it wasn't going to be reprinted, and the miniatures looked cool, and I was like, hey, that'll be fun. I should buy this and paint it all. I have painted 2 miniatures over the last few years because I don't like, I think they're cool miniatures, but I don't enjoy painting them. This comes from years of experimentation and playing with a lot of miniatures to figure out what I do enjoy painting, what I don't. For example, I tried painting some 40k Chaos Space Marines, and I hated it because there's so much trim and so many tentacles, and you move on to the next stage after you've done all the armor trim, and then you start doing some other detail, and you're like, oh, there's a tooth that I missed coming out of his leg there. I guess I have to take this other paint. And I hated it. I did not enjoy it. Conversely, I really like painting my Horus Heresy Word Bearers because they're very simple, and all of the The armor is very flat. There's not a lot of panel lining, and all of the affectations, I guess, that can go onto the miniatures, such as like the scroll work or any like bits that I add. It's all purposeful. It's all stuff that I do, not that's there that I have to deal with. So experiment a lot with painting a lot of different things. Don't just pick your one like unit type or model type and then paint that and be committed to that forever. Find a lot of things and try a bunch of different stuff and see what you enjoy and what you don't. And when you find a project that you like, keep that in mind and know that things that are similar, like shape or color or accessibility-wise, are going to be things that you enjoy painting. And start painting more of that. It'll get you into a habit. Tip 3, find another thing to do while painting. Now this feels weird a little bit, but don't make painting a thing in itself. Find music, find a TV show, a podcast, an audiobook, something to do while you're painting, and make the only time you do that thing when you're painting. Does that make sense? So, for example, for me, I'm going through Star Trek: The Next Generation for the first time. I've never seen it before. I've never watched Star Trek before. But I'm going through it the first time, and I'm really enjoying it. But I only watch it when I'm painting. So I sit down at my hobby desk, and I tap my laptop, and I turn on some TNG, and I'm watching it sort of like half out of the like peripheral vision and look up whenever Picard or Data say something really like insightful and interesting. And then I am painting while I'm doing it. So I'm associating sitting down and getting some painting done with TNG, which makes me excited to, whenever I want to watch TNG, I don't just sit on my couch and turn on, what is it, Paramount Plus or whatever, the app? I don't do that. I make sure I only watch it in this room, at this desk, while I'm painting. So I associate the two, and now that builds a positive link in my mind that makes me want to sit down and paint. Step 4, make your hobby space inviting. This is probably limited for a lot of people, because a lot of people have really small apartments or workspaces. But you don't need something big. You don't need something grand with a sweeping view. I have a view of my neighbor's roof and a tiny patch of sky and a bush outside. And it's nice, though. I put my desk towards a window, so I have some natural light coming in. I have a okay chair that I got from my brother a couple years ago, and it sits fine, and I don't mind it at all, so it feels comfortable to be in. And I've put stuff in my hobby space that makes me feel comfortable, such as a bunch of books, shelves with dinglings on them, some pictures and things. I put a bunch of my models around so I can keep looking at them, which I think is an important step, is putting a lot of like finished models sitting around your desk, because then you can look at that, A, as a reference, and B, to say, that's what I'm going for. That's the kind of thing I'm working on. Look, I can do it. But make your hobby space inviting. That doesn't mean make your hobby space super organized and super clean with all the most advanced technology. I have a shitty lamp. I have my shitty brushes. My floor is a mess. But it feels comfortable in here. And it is a place that I feel comfortable in. So make the hobby space somewhere that doesn't necessarily feel perfect, but it feels like you. It feels like a space that you want to be in. My last tip that I have for motivating yourself to paint is to give yourself rules. I'm huge on discipline. I didn't used to be when I was younger. I was a huge procrastinator. I almost flunked out of high school. I stopped going to college because I was just terrible at school. But as an adult, I have built up a strong foundation of discipline in my life. And it took a lot of work for me to get there. But genuinely, hobby stuff is something that really helped me. And it's pretty simple. I give myself small rules to follow. The biggest one that a lot of people are familiar with is I will not play a game with an unpainted model. I don't demand that of my opponents. But for me, that is my rule. So if I, put together Possessed, and they're really cool, and I'm going to run them as Galvorbach in my Horus Heresy force, but I'm not going to run them yet. Probably not for a while, because they're not painted. And everybody, because I run word bears, everybody I play against wants to see Galvorbach, and they want me to run these, but I'm not going to. Not until I've painted it, and I am ready to put it on the table. And that's just a personal rule. And because of that, it gets me excited, and it gets me so that while I'm painting a thing, I am like, oh man, I'm so excited to play this in this game on Sunday or whatever. I have a few hours now, I can crank out a few more details, blah, blah, blah. And it makes it so that I push myself to finish projects because I know that I can't have fun with it until I get there. And again, not saying you should adhere to this same rule, but think of some rules for yourself. Just encouraging that discipline. That, or like, hell, I used to say, I will hobby at least once a day. Didn't have to be a lot. Sometimes I would just do a shade on a weapon, and that was it. Other days I'd sit down for like 4 or 5 hours, and I'd paint a couple of guys. But that was a rule of mine. I will do something. I will sit down in this chair, and I will paint something every single day. It doesn't even have to paint. Maybe I just build some days. But this works. It works for me. A couple weeks ago, I bought a Sakaran tank, and it was bare plastic, and I was sitting down to do a game of Heresy with John, Night Lord's John, and I was like, man, I really want to run this Sakaran. He said, just bring the gray plastic, that's fine. And I said, sure. And I sat down on my desk, and I said, no. And I had a slow day at work, so I took the Sakaran, and I just painted the entire thing in one day. And I had it ready for the game next day, and it was very cool. It made me feel great. The biggest takeaway from this is that it's something we do for fun. It's something that enriches our lives and adds to it. It shouldn't add stress. You are under no obligation to get your models painted. Nobody expects it of you. Nobody is waiting on you. You don't owe it to anyone. But if you want to, that's great. Have fun with these toys. Have a good time and just paint to your heart's content. Well, yeah, that's it. I hope that was helpful. See ya, everyone.